Hello Twin Flames, this is Victoria and I'm here with your daily energy check. I'm back home from my Arizona trip. It's so good to be back, you cannot imagine it. It was good to have a few days out of the tarot world, out of the coaching consulting world, but I'm so glad to be back home. I might do a video or at least a kind of a clip about my trip. With some impressions and pictures, amazing group of people that I met, amazing findings, and Sedona is definitely the place to go. Yeah, if you are feeling lack of inspiration, lack of energy for yourself, that's the place, that's the vortex. And if interested in ET, there's a lot going on there from that perspective. The weather could be tricky depending on what you're used to, but I was there for a few days. You definitely can last there a few days, regardless of what time of year you go. I would say spring and fall are probably the best ones because it's a little bit milder, it's more favorable, but actually any season is still good and you will find your own, pluses in each of the seasons or any seasons. So yeah, I can talk about it for hours, but I know you want to hear what's going on with Divine Masculine and Divine Feminine Collective today. So let's get to it. I also got some tan. It's a little hard to see with this lighting, but yeah, it was fun. So I'm going to start with an oracle deck, and today I'm going to use the Whispers of the Ocean. Let's see what's happening with Divine Feminine. I mean, for me, it was an intense experience this few days, but it's also harder for me, a little harder to say what's happening in the collective, to kind of tune into it. So I'm actually intrigued myself because I was sort of like in my own bubble this few days. Okay, let's see. Disengage from outcomes. Yay, love it. Number 48. Let go so you can open yourself to the highest love that you deserve. Find ways to release worry or any unresolved lack of forgiveness you might be holding on to. And it's forgiveness, first of all, to yourself. A lot of people are missing that point. And we talk about forgiveness like, yeah, forgive to everybody who hurt you over the years, who's been unreasonable, etc., etc. But forgiving yourself is the key thing, I would say. I would say it's almost like you need to start with that. It's harder. Just talking from my own experience and from people I've worked with, it's harder than forgiving someone else. That's how bad it is with us, but it's so critical to do that. Forgive yourself for making mistakes, even if they're legit mistakes. If you know that you've been in the wrong, if you know you could have been better, there's always that critique inside of us. Stop doing that. You did your best. And even the mistakes you made, they probably led you to some important lessons that you wouldn't have gotten otherwise. So disengage from outcomes. I don't think like, well, I could have been this and that by now, if only I didn't make that mistake. No, just trust that you're exactly where you're supposed to be. And yeah, maybe somewhere you took a detour because of your free will and the choices you made. Maybe some of them were not in your highest interest. But that's part of the fun of life, of this adventure. So just know that, appreciate that you've learned that lesson. A lot of people haven't. Whatever that lesson is, whatever the mistake you've made, just, know that there's so many people out there who don't know what you know, who haven't learned what you've learned. So now you have that treasure to appreciate, right? Yeah, releasing, transmuting is so important in your path. Okay, let's see what we have for the masculines. A couple of cards here. Keeping it in check. Number 8, pay attention to what is going on around you. You might be moving into something too quickly or missing some important details. So this is kind of like, pay attention to details. Don't move too fast, right? Like go slow and like, keeping it in check, yeah. 20, shared inspiration. Throw yourself into a new project. Be willing to let go of time constraints and rules and really be aware of whatever fulfills your heart. Also a card of observation for me. So for masculine, both cards of observe what is happening externally and internally. What is happening with you? And how can you move forward with the most love and the most satisfaction of what is happening? Are you satisfied right now? Question number one. If not, then how can you make it more enjoyable? How can you make it more loving? Right? If there's something you do that you do not see how you can do it that way, maybe put it on hold. Maybe just pause there for a moment. Take a break. Do something else that you're guided to do. Don't try to do 10 things at once just because they're throwing you away. That's part of the lesson a lot of times. And again, speaking from my own experience, since I am known for having to juggle a million of things, it's part of a lesson to be able to say no to some of those, maybe to most of those. It's quality over quantity. With inner work, with your personal growth, always. With twin flame journey as well. Okay, I'm gonna get to the tarot. It's gonna be the Lux Tarot today. Let's see what's going on with the energies and what's happening with the connection. I also have my Oracle deck with messages from Divine Masculine, so I'm gonna pull a few at the end. And of course, if you like what I'm doing, don't forget to hit the like button, to subscribe to my channel if you haven't done so yet, to share it, to leave a comment, anything you like. I have another moon event coming up. We have a lunar eclipse. We have a full moon in the coming days, so I'll talk to you more about it later this week. The Magician, nice, I like it. Disengage from the outcomes. Yeah, it's one of the manifestation parts. Let go so you can open yourself to the highest love that you deserve. Yeah, that's how you manifest love. When you hold on to, when you set very specific expectations out of what you do, then you're limiting yourself right there, limiting your, what you're manifesting into your life. I'll pull a clarifier as well. Let me just pull a card for the masculine. Need to get back on track, with all of these readings. Wow, we have three cards. Oh my gosh. Wheel of Fortune, the Tower, and the Hanging Man in reverse. Huge. Let me pull. And we had Magician here. So all major arcanas. I mean, come on. Actually, let's see what's going on with the connection at this time. The Empress. All major arcanas. This is huge. Nine of Cups, bottom of the deck. So it's gonna bring in what the twins are desiring, but in what way, right? It's like you need to pay the price, play the piper to be able to dance, to do the winning dance. I'm hearing. Wow, it's interesting. Let's clarify the Magician. It's also interesting that the masculine has got all their cards upside down. Okay. Let's clarify the Wheel of Fortune, the Tower, the Hanging Man in reverse. Wow, the Tower, Ten of Swords, Eight of Pentacles. Wow. Tower clarified by the Tower. It's big. Let's clarify the Empress. By the way, I'm finishing the, Ten of Pentacles. I'm finishing the series of my podcast on mindfulness today. The last one, because it's the Mental Health Awareness Month, I'm doing about toxic relationships and narcissistic personality disorder. It's going to be very practical, very, very to the point, without much philosophy, but very much to how do you identify that kind of relationship, those kind of people, ways or steps you need to take to disengage, to leave, to heal. How is it impacting you in a negative and a positive way? What to take out of it, stuff like that. So it's gonna be, tune into it. It's gonna be available, I think, tomorrow on all the major podcast platforms, including Spotify, podcasts on Apple, Pandora, etc., whatever platform you use for listening to podcasts. It's going to be there. If you search by my last name, you will find them. And I think there's a link in the description box to the playlist. So as they come out, I add them to a playlist that I created. So you can just follow that. There is a topic in the title, so you will be able to tell which one is which. This is going to be podcast number 8. So there's 8 of them on different topics. Okay. So the feminine, we have the Magician clarified by 9 of Pentacles. You know, it's like, be your best self. Do you. Enjoy your life. Acknowledge how amazing you are and life around you, right? And even if something is not that perfect, like we're always comparing ourselves to others, we're always finding something that's not quite right. Change the wording around it, right? That's big part of manifestation. As if it's already great, it's already at the place where you want it to be, right? Give thanks. Acknowledge that this is great, what you have now, that you want more of, and then XYZ. Right? This is the quintessential manifestation technique that's been asked to apply this moment because it's such a powerful time for bringing it in. For the masculine, we have the Wheel of Fortune, the Tower, and the Hanging Man, clarified by the Tower, 8 of Pentacles, 10 of Swords. So there are certain events that are kind of delaying the progress of the masculine in their energetic flow, and it is done on purpose, of course, because in order for them to be able to release some of their pain for good, to be able to work on healing it, work on transmuting it, they need more time in this situation where they are. They need to kind of stay in the thick of it. That's what I'm getting here, right? It's gonna get to them one day, just suddenly it's gonna hit them. How come I didn't notice that before? How come I let this happen to myself over and over again? But in order for that breaking point to happen, it needs to kind of bubble up to its culmination point, if you know what I mean. When it's just gonna be too much to handle, and yes, it's gonna be painful, it's gonna feel unfair, but that's gonna be the point where they will really believe it. If somebody else tells them, including you, probably not gonna happen. It's not gonna go very well. And not just because they don't appreciate the opinion of other people, but just because certain imprints that we have are very hard to break. And even if what they say is actually smart, but it's one thing to acknowledge that. Another thing is to make changes to your life, to actually go and make changes that are gonna break relationships, that are gonna get people to leave jobs, lose friends, change the environment, the lifestyle. Those are really scary changes, and it takes something incredible to make them. So if you've been angry with your masculine that they haven't made them, know that A, it's a matter of time. B, they're in it for a reason. They're kept in it for a reason. You probably also, and speaking of just a quick example of toxic relationships, you don't, 99% of us will not recognize the relationship as toxic until some time passes, until we suffer enough. And that's fair because, anybody can have a bad day. And especially being empaths, we cut people a lot of slack. We are trying to be compassionate, to see good in everyone. We are understanding where they're coming from, all that good stuff. So it takes a while before we can actually notice that something is wrong, that we are being hurt, especially if it's emotional abuse. I'm not gonna go too far into that, but and then I know myself, and my fairly recent case, after which I kind of did my research and became expert in the whole narcissistic personality disorder topic. I figured out I've I was raised by this kind of person. For me to get to that, it took months. And I mean, I was already quite aware and quite conscious of what's happening, what's healthy, what's unhealthy. I was listening to myself, what's happening with me. It still took me 6 months. And I mean, yes, I had never heard about those things before. And that it's like, if you look at it from a perspective of a healthy psyche, their behavior doesn't make sense. It's illogical. It's paradoxical. It just, and that's how they hurt our brain, our psyche, right? By doing things that are illogical and are hard to reconcile. That's what's driving our psyche crazy. That's what eventually helps them gaslight us in making us feel like we are crazy, because all of these things do not match up for a healthy psyche, or relatively healthy, right? It takes time to figure that out. The less experience you have, the more it takes to find out how unhealthy it is. Even if you don't really see the violence, if you don't feel it on your body, like physically nobody's hitting you. Emotional abuse can be a lot more devastating for us. And it's even more dangerous, and that's why I'm speaking about it this month. And I'm going to do a blog article, maybe a couple, because it's harder to notice. When you're being abused physically, you notice. And yes, I know that many people stay with their abusers, continue to stay, choose to stay, but it's still noticeable. You understand what's going on, that somebody is, violating your boundaries, that they're hurting you. If it happens emotionally, especially with someone who's very good at manipulating you, you don't notice. That's the danger. That's why a lot of people live in this kind of situations for many years, for decades, until they kind of, go on a complete decline. And it's really hard to come back. It's important to bring awareness to these things. And I think Mental Health Awareness Month is a very good opportunity for that. That's why I'm talking about it. Okay, situation coming back to the good news, in the connection. The Empress card was the 10 of Pentacles as a clarifier. So both twins really have strong intention on creating something beautiful for their life and together with each other. Empress is ruled by Venus, right? It's all about this love energy in its greater form, not just the physical love. They want to create more loving relationships in their life in general, including with you. 10 of Pentacles, especially in this deck, it talks about community, family, right? It doesn't just go with two people. It's like, my circle, my intimate circle of connections. I want them to be healthy. I want them to be nourishing. I want to be able to co-create with people, something wonderful. That's what the twins are looking for. That's what they see is a possibility, even if it's not there right now. That's what they want to bring about. Okay, I'm gonna pull a couple of cards to finish off from Divine Masculine, see what they'd like to tell Divine Feminines today, how they're feeling, what's on their mind and heart. Oh. Anything else? Thank you. I'm scared you don't love me as much as I love you. I find you so incredibly attractive and sexy. It's intense. Oh my gosh. This deck is not that lovey-dovey, so this is a big deal to get these cards. It's all my fault. Oh. Yeah. So, Divine Masculines feel very apologetic and full of love today. Full of adoration, that's what I get. So, bask in that energy, Divine Feminines. Enjoy and appreciate Divine Masculines, and hopefully it's gonna help bring more of that love energy and abundance into your lives. Thank you very much for staying with me, guys. I love you all, and I'll be back with Meridians very, very soon. Bye.